So how can we shuffle these list items here? Well, that, thankfully, is easy enough to do, because Flutter gives you a shuffle method that can be called on lists. So just as map could be called on lists, shuffle can also be called on lists. It's a built-in method that can be called on lists to change the order of the items in the list. However, what's important to understand regarding shuffle is that unlike map, it does change the original list. Map does not change the original list, shuffle does. And I actually don't want to change this list of answers. I want to make sure that the correct answer stays the first answer here. And therefore we have to first copy this list before we shuffle it. Otherwise, finding out which answer was the correct answer will be impossible after these answers have been shuffled. So therefore here, to make sure that we're shuffling the answers in a brand new list, we can go to this quiz question class which we added earlier, which is our blueprint for these questions. And in there, we can add a function, a method, that could be called getShuffledAnswers, like this. This should return a list of string values, so the same data type as we used it here for answers. And inside of getShuffledAnswers, I therefore want to call this shuffle method on answers, but I first want to create a copy of answers. And creating such a copy is thankfully straightforward. We can use the built-in list class. So list is not just a type, but also a class built into Dart. And this offers a couple of utility constructor functions that make it easy to create different lists. For example, it has an auth constructor function. And this auth constructor function creates a new list based on another list. So it copies an existing list basically. And therefore here we can pass answers to list auth to create a new list based on that old list of answers. And then we can call shuffle on this new list. So now the new list will be the shuffled one and the old list will be untouched because we copy the list and then shuffle the copied list. And what we're doing here, by the way, is called chaining. We're calling a method on the result of calling another function or method. And this is something you'll see quite a lot when working with Dart and Flutter. It is quite common to chain command after command after command. Now here it's of course not enough to just shuffle the list though, instead we also must return it. And here it turns out that shuffle indeed returns nothing. So shuffle does not yield the shuffled list, instead it shuffles the list on which you call it in place and does not give you the updated list. Therefore here to get hold of that updated list, we actually have to change the code a little bit and first create a new final variable, which could be called shuffled list, which is initially just the copy of the list. But then we call shuffle on that shuffled list. And then it's this shuffled list here, which is returned. And we must do it like this so that we first create this copy and store this copy in a variable. And then we call shuffle, which as mentioned, changes that list in place. So after this line of code, shuffled list will have changed. And then we return the updated shuffle list. And you might wonder how a shuffled list can change if it's final, but final only ensures that you can't reassign the variable. So I can't, for example, assign shuffled list to a new list here. This does not work because of final. But that's not what we're doing when calling shuffle here. Instead, this reaches out to the existing list object in memory and edits the items in that list. It does not overwrite the list as a whole. So calling shuffle here does not violate final because we're not reassigning a value to shuffled list. We're just editing an existing value in memory with shuffle. And with that, we now got our getShuffledAnswers method here. And back in questions screen, we can now use these shuffled answers. We can use them down here. Instead of accessing current question answers, we can access current question get shuffled answers and then map those shuffled answers to our answer buttons. So this logic doesn't change. We still chain this map method here onto the get shuffled answers method. But the difference now is that we map our shuffled answers. And, very important, we do all these things without changing the original answers list. With that, you'll see that now I have a different order than I did before. Before, widgets was at the top, because this is the right answer. Now here, for me, it's functions, and the next time I'll visit this page, it will likely look different again.